Shauna, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
No, Shauna.
Well, Shauna.
Shauna, are you there?
Yes, I'm sorry. I had my mute on. Yes, I'm ready.
Oh, okay. So you ready to record?
Laura does that.
Oh, Laura, I'm sorry. You're online. Okay, Laura. I just wanted to make sure we have this recorded.
Okay, are we ready to call to order the meeting?
That'd be fine.
Okay, good morning, fellow commission members, staff members, and honored guests. Today's date is January the 14th, 2021, and it's approximately 9:02 a.m. I'm Walt Valentine, Commission Chair. I'll now call to order the meeting of the Tennessee Private Investigation and Polygraph Commission. Executive Director Cody Vest, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Walt Valentine.
Here.
David Brown.
Here.
Stuart Bain.
Here.
Robin Johnston.
Here.
Alan Russo.
Here.
Doug Shanks.
Here.
Kendall Barham.
Here.
Charlie Bradley.
Here.
The record show we do have a quorum, and Doug Shanks is calling in by telephone.
Okay. The next on the agenda would be the statement of necessity by Jesse Gentry, Associate General Counsel.
I'll read that into the record now. Pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 8-44-102, this is the regularly scheduled meeting for the Tennessee Private Investigation and Polygraph Commission, which is taking place via video conferencing means pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order Number 16 and extended by Executive Order Number 65. Meeting remotely is considered a reasonable measure to protect the safety and welfare of Tennesseans while ensuring government business may continue in a manner that is open and accessible to the public. All votes of the board will be all votes of the commission will be by roll call. Notice of the meeting date, time, and location has been noticed on the Tennessee Private Investigation and Polygraph Commissioner's website since September 30th, 2020, and this month's agenda has been posted since January 7th, 2021. Pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated 8-44-108B2, if a physical quorum is not present at the physical location of a meeting, a governing body, and in order for the quorum of the members of the governing body to participate in the meeting by remote means, it may be accessible if a necessity exists and a statement of necessity is read into the record. The determination must include a recitation of the facts and circumstances for which it is based. A necessity is determined by matters to be determined by the governing body requiring timely action. A physical quorum is not physical or practical within the time requiring the action, and that the participation of a quorum of the members by electronic means is necessary. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the meeting agenda, which was previously posted to the board's website, and voting will be done by a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Gentry. Next on the list is the agenda. I'd like to ask if each commission member has received and had time to review a copy of the agenda. And if so, is there a motion to adopt this agenda?
Alan Russo, so moved.
Doug Shanks, seconds.
Alan Russo approved and Doug Shanks seconded. Any discussion? Madam Chairman, would you call the roll?
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
David Brown.
Aye.
Bain.
Aye.
Robin Johnston.
Aye.
Alan Russo.
Aye.
Doug Shanks.
Aye.
Kendall Barham.
Aye.
Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
Ayes have it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the last Education Committee and Commission meeting. Has each member received and had time to review the copy of these minutes? And if so, is there a motion to adopt these minutes?
Commissioner Valentine, I'll make a motion that we accept.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Alan.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Madam
Roll call. Okay. But let me make sure I understood that the motion was made by David Brown and seconded by Ms. Johnston.
Yes.
All right. Walt Valentine,
Aye.
David Brown,
Aye.
Stuart Bain,
Aye.
Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Kendall Barham,
Aye.
Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the legal report.
No, I believe the next thing is election of officers,
Election of
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry. Next
That's
is
fine.
election of officers.
Okay. Now we do this. There was some discussion about this, but we're supposed to do election of officers the first meeting of every new year, from what I understand. We were a little late. We'd only meet like, I think, what is it, 4 times a year now? So if we don't do it the first meeting, it moves on to April, but we've got everybody here. And if we're ready, I'll read this information off.
Okay.
Okay. We'll call for nominations for the commission chair.
I nominate Walt Valentine.
Who is that?
Charlie.
Make it Charlie. Y'all give me a minute so I can write this down. All right. The motion was made for Walt Valentine and seconded by Charlie Bradley. All right. Are there any other nominations for chair? I don't hear any other nominations. All right, so I need a motion and a second to elect Walt Valentine by acclamation.
I'll make a motion to accept by acclamation, Commissioner Brown.
All right.
Alan Russo, I second.
Okay.
Alan Russo. Okay, the nomination, the vote was by David Brown, seconded by Alan Russo. Is there any other discussion? If not, we would say congratulations to Walt Valentine as the chair for the 2021 Private Investigation and Polygraph Commission.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you.
All right. Now, this program only has a chair and a vice chair. So now I'm going to take nominations for the vice chair.
Alan Russo, I nominate David Brown.
Brown by Russo.
Second by
Okay.
Doug Shanks.
Shanks. Okay. We have a motion for the nomination for David Brown, nominated by Alan Russo and seconded by Commissioner Shanks. Any other nominations? If I don't hear any, I need a motion and a second to elect by acclamation.
I make a motion, Charlie.
All
Robin
right.
second.
Johnston, okay. All right. We have a motion by Charlie Bradley and seconded by Ms. Johnson for David Brown to be elected as vice chair. Now I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. I know it's a little odd, but sometimes I forget in order to do this. But since we're doing this remotely, I'm going to call for a roll call vote for Walt Valentine is our chair for the PI Polygraph Commission. David Brown, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Stuart Bain, Walt, you can't vote yet. David Brown said aye. Stuart Bain,
Cody Stewart said he's going to log out and log back in. You just
okay,
mentioned that
no.
in the chat.
oh, I didn't see a chat. Okay. Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Kendall Barham,
Aye.
Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
All right. Now let's do another. Second vote is going to be for David Brown as vice chair. Walt Valentine,
Aye.
Stuart Bain. Well, he's calling in. Robin Johnston, Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Kendall Barham,
Aye.
Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
All right. The ayes all have it. We have the new chairman is Walt Valentine and the vice chair is David Brown. So we did that, the rules here, and we also did a roll call vote. So congratulations to both gentlemen.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the legal report with Jesse Gentry, Associate General Counsel.
All right, thank you. The first case on here is complaint number 2020701. The summary is that the complainant stated that on July 30th, 2020, the respondent appeared to be following her into an alley behind her house. The complainant stated the respondent does not live near her and that he had no reason to be in that alley. The complainant also stated that she and the respondent worked together as security guards and that the respondent has boasted about running background checks on his fellow coworkers. Our investigator was able to make contact with the parties. The respondent denied being in the alley and stated he was with his family during the alleged incident. He also stated that the complainant made this complaint as retaliation as she was being disciplined and eventually terminated from her job after the respondent had told their management of complaints regarding the complainant at their job. The complainant made contact with our investigator over the phone. However, she never provided written answers to our specific questions or a sworn statement as requested. Therefore, the recommendation is to close.
Doug Shanks makes a motion to agree with the recommendation.
Do I hear a second?
Commissioner Brown seconds it.
Any discussion? Cody Best, would you call the roll?
Walt Valentine,
Aye.
David Brown,
Aye.
Stuart Bain, Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Kendall Barham,
Aye.
Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
Did Stuart ever come back on?
Not yet.
Okay, the ayes have it, Mr. Chairman.
Well, welcome. That's great news.
Oh, okay, you back on, huh?
On
Okay,
the
good.
phone.
Oh, that's okay. At least we have you there. That's good.
All right, case number 2, complaint number 2020085-211. The summary is that this complaint contains the same set of facts and circumstances as the case number 3 below. However, this complaint was made against the individual private investigator of the company that's listed as the respondent in the case below. Additionally, these two complaints are heavily tied to 2 complaints previously reviewed by the commission at its last meeting, as this respondent made a complaint against a private investigator who allegedly was working for one of the complainants in this case. Further, this complaint was dated September 4th, 2020 and received by the commission several months later. The previous complaint this respondent made was in June 2020, and the commission's investigator had already had contact with the parties prior to the September 4th, 2020 complaint. Although the named complainants of this complaint were not technically parties to the complaint made by this respondent, these complainants were investigated by this respondent and allegedly hired the private investigator who was named in the complaint made by this respondent. The basis of this complaint is that the complainants have alleged that the respondent has made false and improper public statements through her podcast by revealing information on her podcast in an attempt to link the complainants to the death of another individual. The complainants also allege that the respondent had helped cover up evidence that was an accessory to a crime in another state. However, this allegation appears to be based on a person with a similar name being part of a separate criminal case. The respondent denied being this other person, and the private investigator in the other case has published on her website that the respondent is in fact this person. The issue is that the complainants have stated that all of their details disclosed by the respondent are false and that the facts relate to an unsolved homicide case in which there's been no arrests or convictions. From reviewing these podcasts, transcripts from the podcast, and other postings by the respondent, it appears her statements are based off of facts from her investigation. The complainants appear to be alleging that the respondent has not been objective and truthful in making her statements on her podcast. However, without there being either evidence that these statements are false or even corroborating outside factors to show these statements could be false, such as a conviction of a different individual, It would appear that the complainants are pulling the commission into the middle of this case to determine whether the facts themselves are false, and based on this case, and based on the case being an unsolved homicide, the commission is not in a position to prove these statements being false. Further,
Excuse me, Jesse. Perhaps our commission members can mute. All right, thank you. There you go, Jesse. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Further, the complainants point to a post from the respondent on her Facebook page in which she states, quote, "I have developed my own analysis and opinion of the information, but I also know that I've grown too close to this investigation to be able to see it from an unbiased point of view. For that, we must rely on the district attorney," end quote. The respondent did release further podcasts after this post detailing her investigation and analysis. If the commission were to discipline the respondent, it could be best supported by the fact that the respondent posted that she may not be able to see it from an unquote unbiased point of view, end quote, and continued to make additional podcasts, which pursuant to the commission's regulations would need to be objective and truthful. The only issue with disciplining the respondent for this would be that it would need to be proved that the statements that the respondent made were in fact not objective or untruthful, which would only be supported by the fact that she had admitted that she's being biased in her or had been biased in her opinion. The complainants have also filed a lawsuit against the respondent for her statements on her podcast and alleged that she has caused intentional infliction of emotional distress against them, engaged in a conspiracy, and maliciously prosecuted them. The respondent has filed her own lawsuit against the complainants and the other private investigator for conspiracy, defamation, negligence per se / cyber stalking, and the intentional infliction of emotional distress. An interesting consideration is that the complainants did not file a lawsuit for defamation against the respondent, which would have required them to prove she made false statements against them. The commission could consider any factual findings of the civil court in the complainant's lawsuit. However, they likely would only lead to discipline if the facts show that there were harm to the public or fraud, as the complainants did not appear to be filing a suit to prove the statements were false. Similarly, the respondent's allegations in her suit, if proved, could show the statements may not have been false and or result in discipline against the other private investigator. These lawsuits are in very early stages, however, and any findings from them may be pertinent to the commission's cases involving these individuals. The difference between the actions of the respondent and the actions of the other private investigator and the other complaint made by the respondent are that, one, this respondent was very cooperative in responding to the allegations of the case. The other investigator did not cooperate. 2, this respondent and her company were properly licensed. 3, this respondent's statement seemed to be based off of actions of her investigation, whereas the other private investigator was previously a witness against the complainants and has now advocated for them, and it appears she may be retained by them. Therefore, the recommendation is to close.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion we accept council's recommendation. Commissioner Brown.
Commissioner Bain, second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the legal report as recommended. Any discussion? Hearing none. Cody Vest, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir, but I need to make it kind of clear here. David Brown made the motion, but I did not hear it. 2 names came in on second.
Bain was one of them.
Stuart Bain was one of them.
All right, I'm going to put down Bain if that's okay. So we had the motion by Brown and seconded by Bain, to accept a recommendation of council. Walt Valentine?
Aye.
David Brown?
Aye.
Stuart Bain?
Aye.
Robert Johnston?
Aye.
Alan Russo?
Alan's you on mute.
Alan, you're on mute.
Aye.
Thank you. Doug Shanks?
Aye.
Linda Barham?
Aye.
Charlie Bradley?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to number 3, which is case number 2020085231. Summary of this one is this complaint contains the same set of facts and circumstances as the above complaint. However, the respondent in this investigation, or is the investigation company, it's recommended that the discipline from the above complaint be the same as this one. Therefore, the recommendation is to close.
Do I hear a motion?
Bain, I recommend, I make move that we close it. Follow General Counsel's opinion.
Do I hear a second?
Alan
Second.
Russo, I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Director Vest, would you call the roll?
Yes, I heard the motion was made by Stuart Bain and seconded by Alan Russo to concur with counsel. Walt Valentine,
Aye.
David Brown,
You're muted, David.
Aye, I'm sorry.
Stuart Bain,
Aye.
Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Kendall, you might be muted.
I didn't hear my name called.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. I did
Aye.
call it. All right. And Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
All right, thank you. Number 4, which is case number 2020093811. Summary is that this complaint contains, oops, sorry. Tried to scroll down and it jumped back up. This is number 4, 2020093811. The complainant made this complaint against an individual private investigator, which is the respondent of this complaint, as well as one against his company license. The allegations of the complaints, though, are the same. The complainant contacted the respondent in October 2020 regarding obtaining his services to locate the complainant's wife. The complainant stated the respondent made many claims as to the likelihood of locating the complainant's wife, which is why he entered into the contract with him for his services and paid him a $2,000 retainer. The complainant also stated he talked with other private investigators prior to entering into this contract, and that the other private investigators told him it would be unlikely anyone would be able to find his wife. So the complainant stated that the respondent's claims were why he chose to work with him. The respondent denied making any claims as to the likelihood of success, and the contract between the parties specifically states the complainant understands that there were no promises or guarantees of success. There were no other written statements or other evidence to show where respondent made any statements about guarantees of success. However, the complainant stated it was corroborated by the fact that he had already paid 2 other private investigators to locate his wife, and neither were able to do so. So he would not have paid a 3rd private investigator to do the same work if he was not told there would be a guarantee of success. The complainant also alleged that he was improperly billed and that the respondent continued the investigation when it was obvious he would not be able to locate the complainant's wife. These allegations were also denied by the respondent, and the evidence received did not appear to corroborate these allegations. The complainant stated he was billed for little work being completed outside of a few reports run. However, the records from the parties also showed a substantial number of calls and texts between them, and the respondent also had set up a meeting with the complainant to discuss the reports he ran and a follow-up with investigating other individuals who were listed as connected to the complainant's wife. Additionally, the contract between the parties stated that the retainer was non-refundable. So even if the respondent did not bill $2,000 worth of work, it would appear he did not violate any regulations by not refunding the money. The complainant ultimately told the respondent to not investigate these other individuals listed in the reports, but he also told the respondent not to stop the investigation. It does not appear the respondent continued an investigation improperly, as there appeared justification to investigate these generated leads, and the complainant also told the respondent to continue to work. There were 2 concerns the commission should address, however. The complainant wrote a negative review on Google and the respondent, or a review of the respondent, and the respondent wrote a response to the Google review. In it, he said the complainant had hired him to locate his wife, and the respondent then detailed some of the steps he undertook in the investigation, including the mention that there was a male associated with the complainant's wife, who the respondent believed should be investigated, but that the complainant decided not to pursue. The response to the review did not reveal any names, locations, or other confidential information. However, the complainant listed his name on the review, left, so it may have been improper for the respondent to describe any details of the investigation. Additionally, the respondent provided the complainant a full list or the full reports he ran on the complainant's wife, which in turn gave the complainant the names, birth dates, and social security numbers of 12 other individuals who were not parties to this contract. Neither of these issues fit squarely within a violation of the Commission's statutes or regulations. The respondent did not reveal confidential information to any third parties with the Google review, as the information the respondent revealed was not necessarily confidential information, and there is an exception to this prohibition that allows licensees to disclose information to defend against a claim asserted against him or her. The information in the reports provided to the complainant would be confidential. However, the Commission's regulation prohibits revealing information obtained for a client to third parties, and these 12 individuals are not clients. Therefore, this regulation was not violated. Licensees are required to uphold a proper conduct of practice, wherein they recognize the primary obligation to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public in the performance of a licensee's professional duties, pursuant to Tennessee Compilation of Rules and Regulations 1175-04-02, and arguably revealing this information to the complainant could violate that code of practice, as these individuals' personal information was put in the hands of the complainant, who could use it as he pleases. The recommendation is a letter of warning.
Do I hear a motion?
Alan Russo, I so move. Recommendation of council.
Moved by Rousseau. Do I hear a second?
Bain,
Seconded by
second.
Doug.
Stuart Bain seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Director Vest, would you call the roll?
All right, we have the motion was made by Alan Russo and seconded by Stuart Bain to accept the recommendation of letter of warning. Walt Valentine,
Aye.
David Brown,
Aye.
Stuart Bain,
Aye.
Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Kendall Barham,
Aye.
Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the last complaint, which is number 5 on the report, case number 2020-093661. Summary is that the facts of this complaint are identical to the ones above. However, the respondent in this complaint is the company, whereas the above respondent was the individual private investigator and owner of the company. Therefore, it is recommended that the decision for the above stated case be the same for this one, and the recommendation is a letter of warning.
Do I hear a motion?
Bain, so moved.
Bain moved. Do I hear a second?
Johnston seconds.
Johnson seconds. Director Vest, would you call the roll?
Right, I heard Stuart Bain made the motion to accept and seconded by Robin Johnston to issue a letter of warning. Walt Valentine,
Aye.
David Brown,
Aye.
Stuart Bain,
Aye.
Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
He's on mute, Alan.
You're on mute, Alan.
Aye.
that's okay. We heard Commissioner Russo, Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Kendall Barham,
Aye.
Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Gentry, is that all of the legal report?
It is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda are administrative matters, appearances. Do we have anyone wanting to appear before the commission?
I'll take that over. It's okay, Chairman Valentine. I don't have any appearances listed, so if it's all right with you, we'll just go straight into the administrative matters.
Yes.
If you would, the first thing on the administrative matters is the monthly report that was sent out to you. And we'll just look at the one for December, which is a short meeting, obviously. We met with General Counsel on December the 9th. We also did a monthly meeting, financial meeting. I did not have not yet had any media contact. So, and I still have not had any media contact either so far, even since then. The next thing is going to be the budget review, and there's some pretty good news there. You're ending up with the month of November with $25,161. So it looks like we are on the right path here. I don't anticipate any problems, or I don't see any at this particular time. Legislative update, I don't have any. Jesse, I don't think you have any either, do you?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, good. Application review, we don't have any applications to review. So if you would, you should have some correspondence. We'll go right down to that from Portal Worldwide. This good little bit of information that I sent out to you, the back and forth with the emails, but what it all.
You're muted, Cody.
How about that? Is that okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, I hit it with my paper when I moved it over there. I got this correspondence from, it says, our California employee recently moved to Tennessee. She works online through our California servers, so we are not conducting investigations in Tennessee. My understanding that there are no Tennessee sales tax for employment screening background searches. So through the correspondence, as you read it, she can keep asking me, about sales tax. And if she's doing enough, they're doing enough business for sales tax. I took it that they were actually doing business in Tennessee for employment screening background searches. So I told the individual they would need to have a license. Private investigator and individual and a private investigation company. Wrote back and said they weren't doing that kind of business in Texas, which was wrong. She corrected herself, said it was in Tennessee, but keeps telling me or keeps wanting me to give them information about sales tax. Well, I sent her to the right place to find out about sales tax, but I still say my opinion was they needed to have a license if they're doing background screening, because we have companies that's all they do is background screenings. So I decided to bring that to the board and let you make a decision on that after reading all the material.
I have a comment,
Stuart?
Commission.
Okay.
In looking at reviewing the minutes, you will look back on in the minutes, there is a discussion involving an individual who located to Tennessee and who is doing the work was looking for lost things in other states, and the minutes will tell you that what we apparently decided was that in the minutes. And I quote, "No, he is not required to get a license in Tennessee because he is only living in Tennessee and not conducting any business. If he," and then the next line I don't understand, but that line is we decided that person who is living now in Tennessee and doing work in, I think it was California, or some other.
It was California.
Recovering lost property for clients, both exclusively located out of state. And so apparently we decided, so if we decided that person didn't need a license and they've relocated to Tennessee and they're doing out-of-state work, how is that different from this question? And I would submit to you that I'm a little concerned, as is Cody, about this. Okay, I'm done ranting.
Okay, let me step in here for just a moment. I believe what you were talking about, that individual was trying to locate money.
And recover lost or stolen property, yes.
Right. Well, this one here is doing background screenings.
Well, and that's a difference. I'm okay with that. But, it's, as Cody wrote in her email to us, it's the issue is going to be seen again and again. Okay, done.
All right, commission members, I'd like to have some discussion about this. Like Stuart said, we're working from home ourselves using servers. I do have someone who is out of state using our state servers, working and getting paid, but still doing the work in a different state. So I'm sure this is going to rise more and more. So we need to take a look at, are we looking at the problem at being background screenings? That is the definition of being a PI, doing the background screenings, or we're looking at just because you're setting in Tennessee doesn't mean you're investigating Tennesseans. Walt, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, yes, I do. As long as they're not investigating anybody in Tennessee, it doesn't seem like they need a Tennessee license. But how do we know who they're investigating? We would have to have a statement from their boss that they're not investigating anybody in Tennessee to say that they don't need to have a Tennessee license. Because if they do one background in Tennessee, or if there's any connection to Tennessee, then they need a Tennessee license. That's my opinion.
Okay, well, what really brought that home to me is they kept referring to paying sales tax. So you don't only pay sales tax when you do work in Tennessee, right?
I don't understand that part. They keep asking us about the sales tax when we have nothing to do with the sales tax. They didn't need to go to the state tax authorities.
Yes, I sent her to the Department of Revenue and everything.
Yeah.
But all right, any other discussion?
Alan Russo, I agree with the comments from Walt Valentine. I think that's a big distinction.
Okay, so are we saying I need to contact this company and say I need for you to put in writing that you're not doing any investigations in Tennessee or investigating any Tennesseans?
Right.
How do you want me to word that?
And if you should do that, you either not do that or get a license.
How will we know whether they're doing it or not?
Great point.
It's a slippery slope, and I was looking at Mark's email response there, and then the string here. Kroll background, their people are licensed in Tennessee, and they may be working in other areas. They're doing background checks.
Kroll is all over the United States, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a ton of backgrounds here in Tennessee, though.
Oh, I know they do. This is a slippery slope. If we say, okay, you're not doing it in Tennessee, but how are we going to know that?
I don't think there is any way to judge that other than their own statements, unless they pay sales tax. If they pay sales tax, then they're doing work in Tennessee.
Well, that's my issue. I think with Cody is if while they're asking about sales tax, if we're stating they don't need a license.
But if they're in Tennessee and they're investigating and doing paperwork and sitting in the state of Tennessee and doing reports in the state of Tennessee, but looking at people otherwhere, they're still investigating while they're in the state of Tennessee, if you want to go that route.
Yeah, that's the way I was thinking, Doug.
That's the backside of that coin, yes.
Because I've been retained by Counsel and other cities to check on people, not necessarily here, but they've had some associations here, kind of a split thing. And you certainly got to have a license. I've done some work for an insurance company out north of us, and they've had me do background checks in other states. I've had to check with those states before I do it. I just can't come in there and start doing them.
Right.
Okay. So do we have a suggestion for a response from Director Vest?
From what I'm hearing, they do and then they don't. But basically, what I wrote down is that I would be contacting this company, Miss Tal is her name, and telling them that as long as they were not doing investigations in Tennessee, they didn't need a license, but they're going to have to send me a statement saying that they do not do business in Tennessee. And I think I need to also ask them, once you get contact the Department of Revenue and it is determined that you have to pay sales tax, perhaps we need to revisit this question.
On that, I would agree. It seems to me we may need a review of something like this if we're going to see this again, which is likely.
Yes.
In other words, part of that letter could be, we're working on this question.
Do we have any input from legal?
I think there's a couple. Cody and I have talked a little bit about this. My biggest concern is if you are doing enough business in the state of Tennessee that you're concerned about sales tax. I think that we're starting to look that you're doing business here. I think there's a couple different scenarios that this brings up. One, kind of potentially what they're saying, if you are sitting here in Tennessee, but you're not investigating individuals in Tennessee and you're not retained by a client in Tennessee, are you doing work that would need a license? I think what it sounds like is the commission is saying maybe that's a situation where you may not need a license if you're not investigating Tennesseans and your client's not a Tennessean. But I think if we start looking at it a couple different ways, if you're paying sales tax here too, are we concerned that maybe your client could be here based in Tennessee? Are we concerned that you're providing some type of work here in the state of Tennessee that this individual is providing as an individual, that even though they're on their California server, they're on their server in the other state, they're still doing enough work that they're connected here, that they're paying taxes? I think that's probably where I think Walt Valentine had brought it up, where how are we going to prove if they're doing work in Tennessee? I think if at that point they're paying taxes, or if revenue says they do owe taxes, I think we need to look at the fact that they might be doing work here. But I think we have a couple different things that people working from home, we're going to have to, especially running background checks, so you can do that from home. I think we're going to have to look at is in the future, if your client's here in Tennessee, but you're investigating someone out of state, would we say you need a license? Well, probably, yes. If you're investigating someone here in Tennessee, even if your client's out of state, would you need a license? Probably is going to be the answer as well. When you're not investigating someone within Tennessee, not retained by someone here in Tennessee, that's where I think we're in this more of this gray area. And I think Stuart Bain brought it up as well. You're sitting here, you're living here in Tennessee. That's your only connection. The work is not, it's occurring here because you're on your computer, but it's not really related to any Tennesseans. So it's a strange issue. I think getting a statement is probably the next best step that we can get. But we may end up having to investigate this issue further, and it's definitely going to come up as more and more companies move to individuals working from home.
On that, I would agree.
Yeah.
Mr. Gentry, would you help Director Vest draft a letter in response?
Gladly, I will. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Unknown caller.
I beg your pardon? Oh, I think there was something else coming in.
And I think we need a clear description of their business practices. I'm still not quite clear what they're doing, but I feel certain that if we were in California and asked that California would require us to be licensed.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Vest, this is Joe Stainback. May I just express a practical opinion based on what I do on my practice?
Sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's simple as this. It mirrors Mr. Gentry's points that he made. I live right on the Kentucky-Virginia line up here in Claiborne County, and it made me extremely nervous that when I got calls from Kentucky and Virginia to do work, which mainly is done right here in my Tennessee home. So I made sure that I'm fully licensed in the in the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the Commonwealth of Virginia to ensure that that doesn't get crossed up. So to me, it's the right thing to do when these circumstances where you're working from home and you're all the work's being done here in Tennessee, but my client is in another state. And so therefore, if I got a call from their commission of that state, I can rightfully say, my client is in that state and I'm fully licensed there.
Dr. Stanback, I tend to agree with that because, like I said earlier, when I'm asked to do background checks in other states, I check with them before I come into there and start doing their work, because, some states will allow you to do it 1 or 2, 3 times, reciprocity. Some require you to be licensed. So that's the reason I said, I think you need to be licensed, but.
Just for clarification, Commissioner Brown, when you're doing that in that situation, you're investigating individuals though in that state, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I think what they're trying to say, what this company department says, they're not investigating individuals in Tennessee. I think that's their distinction. But I think what you're saying is it's an interesting parallel, and I think that we would consider that.
Yeah, the question I have is, if they aren't investigating anybody in Tennessee, why are they concerned about sales tax?
That was my concern, Walt. I agree.
It was being inferred by the sales tax.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you, Dr. Stanback. Appreciate that. So the consensus.
Hey, Cody.
Yes, go ahead.
I got something else to add into this.
Okay.
Let's say that I have a company in Tennessee, which do, but then I decide to have another company out in Nashville or Memphis. I'm supposed to get another license for that office in that area.
It's a branch office, yes.
A branch office. Although they're in California, wherever, and they got an employee here, I think they need a license, in my opinion, because they've got an office that they're working from in the state of Tennessee, so that they need to have that office license, and to have that office license, the investigator has to be licensed.
So I can see we have, I see we have difference of opinions here. Okay.
Do they actually have an office in Tennessee, or is it an individual working from home?
The individual is working from home, being paid by the company out of California.
Well, I think that's a little bit, yeah, I think that's a little bit different than having an office and trying to obtain clients in the state. That's, with COVID and all of that, I think we're getting off mark.
Well, that'd be a home office.
Working from home.
Okay, so I don't need an office since I work from my house. So I'm paying for an office, and my office is in my house.
Yeah, you
but do you have? Do you?
Doug?
Do what?
Taking some tax deductions for your office, Doug?
I'm not getting the IRS after me.
No, I mean, in the home. You got an office in the home.
I mean, I got an office in my home, and the reason I'm not on web is this place is a mess, and I don't want people to see my nasty office.
But Doug, your office is in your home, and you obtain you take phone calls at your home from clients. You get deposits from clients, retainers from clients. You send out contracts. Is this individual simply a button pusher that is working for this California company, or are they actually taking new business, getting new clients, sending out contracts? I mean, there's a little bit of a difference there is what I'm saying.
Right.
I think the issue is that this individual is sitting here in Tennessee. There is a California company that has hired this individual to do background checks, but not in the state of Tennessee. The person is just sitting in the state of Tennessee, not doing the actual backgrounds on Tennesseans.
Well,
That's where we got off track there.
As long as there's not any Tennessee clients and no Tennessee people being investigated, I think we're okay. But that comes back up to the sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they asking that question?
So I think Jesse and I will get together and let's send them some correspondence, and maybe they can make it even clearer for us. And then if we have to, we'll get into the sales tax problem. You know, usually this profession is going to take care of itself because somebody finds out that they're running background checks on Tennesseans, we'll probably get a complaint. And then we can handle it that way also. Okay, so I think that if the commission's agreed, that's what Jesse and I do. We'll send this company a letter.
Okay. I think everybody agrees with that.
Okay, good.
Motion that the letter be sent.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
I don't really think so, but
I didn't either.
That's all right.
Okay.
If we're finished with that, we'll go right on down to the education report. Unless there's some other something else. I don't have any more correspondence. The education committee consists of Walt Valentine, David Brown, Doug Shanks, Stuart Bain, and Alan Russo. And what you have here is a course that was sent out called Advanced Interviewing Concepts. They wanted 8 hours of continuing education. Walt, I believe you're the chair of that committee. You want to just go down all of them and then take one vote, or you want to do one individually? Do them individually.
It doesn't matter to me. Have all of the members of the education committee had a chance to look at the list?
Yes.
Yes.
And do you have any suggestions or motions?
Yes. After reviewing the advanced interviewing concepts statement analysis, I'm okay with an 8-hour of Bain.
All right.
I would make, they sent us ample material to look at their program and what they were doing. I compliment them on that.
The only one I had a suggestion on is the fire wanting or asking for 75 hours when we can only give 12.
Yes, if that's approved, of course, it'll only be approved for 12 hours.
Yes.
We'd make that notion. All right, now, so we talked about that advanced interview. What about the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers? They wanted 2 hours for David Wright. Any discussion on that one?
It's okay to me.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one then. How about the Tennessee Chapter International Association of Arson Investigators? 4 hours for David Wright.
I agree.
I think you look okay. I would defer to Stuart if he has any comments.
Well, arson, they all are on the list of accepted courses too.
Yeah, no comments. I'd be okay with it.
Right, thank you. Tennessee Chapter on International Investigators, again, another 4 hours. This was for fire protection and investigations. It's different from that gas service and fire investigations.
Having been to this chapter meeting and chapter seminar, that's worth 4 hours.
Okay, good. And then we talked about the Tennessee Fire and Code Academy fire investigator. We would give them 12 hours for continuing education, and then whatever it needed to, it needed 75 for us. We can go ahead and take a vote on these if you'd like, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept Advanced Engineering Concepts Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Tennessee Chapter, International Association of Arson Investigators, twice there, and the Tennessee Code Enforcement Academy? Do I have a motion to accept all?
Commissioner
Alan
Brett makes a
Russo.
motion to accept all.
I second Alan Russo.
Okay, we have David Brown made the motion. Commissioner Russo did the second. Okay.
Any discussion? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Thank you. Walt Valentine.
Aye.
David Brown.
Aye.
Stuart Bain.
Aye.
Robin Johnston.
Aye.
Alan Russo.
Aye.
Doug Shanks.
Aye.
Kendall Barham.
Aye.
Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
The ayes have it, Mr. Chairman. We will accept these. It will go on our course list.
Very good. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business, Director Best?
Actually, I don't believe we do have David Wright down there. He only needed 4 hours, but if you look at it, that course that he was talking about is on our course list, so I will approve that.
Okay.
All right. So that's all I had for unfinished business.
Do we have any new business?
Yeah, I would like to bring this point up. And the discussion we had on our correspondence section of the meeting is worth revisiting, perhaps as unfinished business.
Okay. That's Stuart, isn't it? Okay. So
yes,
I think Mr. Chair, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I believe what Stuart said under unfinished business, he wants to readdress the correspondence that we just discussed.
Okay. What do you have, Mr. Bain?
Well, Mr. Valentine, I think this is a question that's going to come up again. And because it's going to come up again, it may be worth revisiting the ideas of counsel, and because we're looking at a pretty fine line, or a line. We're placing a line. If you live here but you don't work here, or if you don't live here but you do work here, it's that's a slope. I heard someone say earlier.
Well, they're living here and working here. It's just they're working out of state.
Well, as the director, I didn't even look at that. What I was looking at, they're doing background checks, and that's the definition. Does it matter where you're doing the background? They're in Tennessee. They're doing background checks.
And that's my point. Is it's just maybe worth asking counsel to weigh in on something like that.
Was that you wanted me to answer more on that or talk more on that, Mr. Bain? Commissioner Bain?
Well, I'm just thinking that there's all I'm suggesting is that this could be viewed in our next meeting as something you might call unfinished, and and it might be worth soliciting information, suggestions, recommendations from you guys, legal, on a path forward on questions like this.
I agree, and we actually have had a little bit of a discussion in terms of our legal office, some of the other attorneys, because this is something that I think not only this commission will see, but I think a lot of the other regulatory agencies for the state will also see. I know, the governor had issued an executive order relating to, nurses being able to waive some licensing requirements to be able to work in Tennessee during, COVID and during the pandemic. I don't know, how much longer people will be working remotely, but we know a lot of businesses are discussing pretty permanent options working remotely. So I think that this is something that either we could look at if we need to potentially change a rule, maybe make an exception. If we need to just dig further into this specific one, I think, we have a plan for that where Cody Vest and I will reach out to them for a statement. So I think we can address that next meeting as either part of unfinished business or correspondence. We'll have that. Hopefully we'll have something on the agenda since we meet again in April with this specific issue. But I think we probably need to look at either a long-term solution as well, or just having, I know you referenced the minutes earlier for consistency to say, we should be consistent in how we're viewing these individuals. But we may need to either look at having a rule added, or if we need to change some legislation, or even just kind of come up, I guess, more on a case-by-case basis. I think if we get a statement from this company that looks like it would be a violation, our next step would be to open a complaint. And then that way it could be addressed that way through the complaint procedures. I think long-term, we do need to figure out some type of either just procedure or policy, or, if we need to make a new rule on an exception here, because I think this is a pretty unique, not all private investigation work could be done, I think, remotely like that, but I think background checks specifically lend themselves to be able to be done by individuals. And Commissioner Johnson brought that up as well. Could be someone sitting here in the state of Tennessee with no other connections to the state.
I concur.
Okay, I think what I'm hearing is we want to put this back on the agenda for our next meeting, in which I think is in April.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we'll have something from legal more defining what we're talking about, and I should have that some correspondence from this company, and I'll bring it back in and put it on the agenda.
Executive Director. Thank you.
Thank you. We will do that.
Okay. As a second thought, if somebody moved to another state and was doing background investigations, that's a definition of private investigation. So it just seems like, on one hand, that they need to be licensed. Mm-hmm. If they're going to be in Tennessee and conducting private investigation work like doing backgrounds. But I don't know, it's a legal question.
Well, and if it comes in as a complaint, then, ultimately it would be a determination of the commission, as to how to deal with this individual. But that's another point too, Commissioner Valentine or Trim. If you have someone who's in Kentucky who's running background checks on Tennesseans, we would say that person is doing work here in Tennessee, would we not?
Yes.
So, we have kind of the inverse here in this situation, but I think there's a lot of, I think this situation is going to keep coming up, and we should be able to figure out how we want to address this specific one, but we may also need to have a more definitive policy going forward so we can look at this a little more efficiently.
And like someone mentioned, how do we know that they're not doing backgrounds in Tennessee? Mm-hmm. We just have to have their word on it that, oh, no, we're not doing backgrounds in Tennessee. But, that's a slippery slope, as somebody else has said. Okay, moving right along.
Well,
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead,
if
Alan.
I may, Alan Russo. We have that same dilemma: is how do we know someone's not doing private investigations from out of state?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I think what we're saying is this is a question that we really need to talk about in depth, get some more information, and let's bring it back up at our next meeting. But in the meantime, we will go ahead with the correspondence. Jesse and I will to this informal worldwide address that one. But yes, I do believe this is something that's going to continue or even grow at working from home. And we should not take this lightly. We should actually check, make sure we're doing the right thing here. So.
Okay.
I will put it on the agenda for next month. I beg your pardon?
Could we ask the name of the company, please?
Yes, it's INFORTAL, Worldwide, one word, WORLDWIDE. And that's what they do. They're doing backgrounds.
Well,
You want to do your due diligence and look into the company, yes. But okay, I think if that's okay, we'll go ahead and stick that on the agenda, and Jesse and I'll look at that.
okay. Do we have any new business?
No, I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Do we have anyone appearing for the Continuing Education Participation Forum?
I didn't have anybody that said they wanted to do that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. That completes our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Alan Russo, I move, adjourn the meeting.
Commissioner Brown seconds it.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Director Vest, would you call the roll?
Yes, we have a motion made by Alan Russo and seconded by David Brown to conclude the Crowd Investigation Polygraph Commission today at 10:08. Walt Valentine.
Aye.
David Brown.
Aye.
Stuart Bain.
Aye.
Robin Johnston.
Aye.
Alan Russo.
Aye.
Doug Shanks. Doug, you still with us?
Yes, aye.
Kendall Barham.
Aye.
And Charlie Bradley.
Aye.
Motion carries. You're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.